Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is Essentials for a Successful Marriage with me, your host, J.Bethea. So glad that you joined me today. And today we're going to be talking about adjustments in marriage. Adjustments, yes, we all have to make them. So let's talk about it today, all right? Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Well, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. We are going to start and get into some of these adjustments that we have to make in our marriage. Yes, this is Essentials for a Successful Marriage, and I am your host. That's me, Susan Bethea. So glad that you decided to join me today. So adjustments, we all have to make them, right? There's so many different things and different ways that we can adjust in our marriage and in our lives. But in our marriage, we have to make adjustments. Things come suddenly or things come by preparation and planning. But we all have to adjust to different things that come into our lives, into our marriages, right? So we have to make changes. We have things that we have to change, that we have to do. Listen, we grow, right? As much as we're going to need to make adjustments. When we doing new things, we have to make adjustments, whether we started a new job or we left an old job. Okay, you're starting a family or you have a family and now you want to move. Anything, there's a sickness in your family, or you have to one spouse has to travel for their job, and then the other one has to work. You have children. There's so many different things that we have to adjust to in life. And so in those adjustments, there are three things that we need to consider as we make those adjustments, okay? So I'm going to go over three different things that we need to consider as we are making adjustments. Listen, we all have to do it, no matter what it is, whether it's going back to school or you're leaving school and now you got to find a job full time because you got to pay them student loans back. Yes, I know about that. Whatever it is that you have to adjust to, there are things that we have to do in order for that to happen. Okay? So the very first thing is, if you are an individual in that marriage, you have to talk to your spouse about your adjustments. Okay, so you thought you could just go on and make that change and just do it on your own. You cannot. Okay, you are in this together. All right, you are working in this life. You are moving and breathing together in your marriage. All right, there's a certain flow that you have. Everybody has it. There's a certain flow that we all have in our marriage. Whether you're newlywed, you're still kind of trying to find your flow, or if you've been married 5, 10 years, 20 years, 40, 35 years, it doesn't matter. There's a certain rhythm that you work with in your marriage. And so you have to figure out what's the new rhythm going to be, because now you have to make an adjustment. So the first thing you need to do is to talk to your spouse about the adjustment that you're thinking about making. Please, 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 beloved, do not just make an adjustment in your marriage, in your life, without talking to your spouse, okay? They need to know how things are going to change, okay? So, when I went back to school after so many years of being out of school, and I wanted to go back and finish. I only had 1 year left to finish school. And I had to talk to my husband about making that adjustment because I was working full time. And so now I'd have to back up off of working full time. Okay, we're going to only have his income coming into the household. And then we still had kids. We had one child that was already married and have his daughter and out of the house. We had a daughter in college, and then we had one on her way to college. Okay, she was a junior in junior in high school. So here we are. Now we got a plan for mommy's going to school. What does that look like? Okay, so we had to talk about it. Okay, so I couldn't just make the adjustment, just say, this is what I'm going to do, and everybody else just move out of my way, and this is what's going to happen. No, I had to actually talk to my husband before I enrolled, before I even talked to anybody. I had to talk to him about what that would look like for us in me going back to school. Okay? So please, beloved, do not just make an adjustment and don't talk to your spouse about it. All right? I'm going to add also, you need to talk to your family about it, because they're going to have to adjust as well. So you need to talk to your spouse first. And then once the two of you get an understanding, then the two of you need to talk to your family, okay, of what that's going to look like for everyone, okay? So the second thing that you need to do is you need to pray about it, okay? You need to pray, all right? If you are a Christian and you know the Lord, you need to pray about this adjustment. You need to pray and ask God if this is something that you really need to do, all right? If this is something that you really feel that God is calling you to do, and it's going to better you, or is it going to pull you further away from your family, you might consider that, okay? So these are things that you're considering, all right? So you might want to consider, how is this adjustment going to affect your family? How is it going to affect your marriage life? How is it going to affect everything that you do? If some of you involved in church, like I am heavily involved in church, have to figure out how is that going to affect what you do and the people around you, and not just make an adjustment and, everybody else is just like, whatever. You can't do that, okay? You got to figure out what that's going to do. All right. And then, so the third thing is that you need to prepare for the adjustment. You have to prepare. You can't just, go out there and just do whatever. You got to prepare yourself. All right. So now that you talk to your husband, and now that you talk to your children, and now that you've prayed about it, and you really feel that this is something that God wants you to do, you have to prepare yourself. Okay. So if you're used to being the one that's at home and cooking dinner all of the time, and everybody's waiting for mom to cook dinner and mom to prepare, then you're going to have to figure out what that means if mom is not there to prepare food for her family. Okay, so whether you have to cook before you go to work, or you have to cook a couple of days ahead and then leave leftovers for your family, whatever it is to kind of help make their lifestyle just as easy and able to adapt to your adjustment, is what you're going to need to do, because it's going to be an adjustment for all of you, not just you. It's going to be your husband, your children, your family. It's going to be an impact made on them, okay? Especially if you're very active with your family, it's going to be an impact. So you need to make that impact as light as possible and not so detrimental to them that it hurts them, okay? So if I was you, I would consider what that looks like for meals, what it looks like for your schedule. Some of you may need to prepare for your community, your village, to help you. If you can't be there to pick up your child from daycare, or you need a grandparent or an aunt or a friend from church or somebody to be there to pick up your children, or to be there when they come home, so that you can have someone there to be with them until your husband gets home, until you get home. You have to consider all situations when you're making your adjustment, because everyone is affected. It's not just you, beloved, okay? It's not just you. You have to prepare, okay? And don't forget about the times, okay? So first thing you need to do is you gotta have God time, all right? You gotta continue to have your God time, you and the Lord together, okay? And then you have to have spouse time, all right? You better give that man or that woman that time that they need, because this adjustment is going to pull on your relationship time-wise, okay? Because now, depending on what you're doing, what they're doing, your family schedule, everybody's pulling and doing something different. You gotta be intentional about your time. Third of all, you need to have family time. Okay, so if your kids are still small and you have children there, you have to have time for your family. So if you say Fridays is my date night and Saturdays is my family time, then that's what you have to do. But you have to make that adjustment as well as the big adjustment you made. You have to make that adjustment, because you got to have God time, you got to have spouse time, you have to have family time, and then you have to have alone time. There has to be some time that you just have a moment to wind down just for yourself. So you have to plan for that too. And that can't be like right as you come home. It's like, nobody don't bother me, don't talk to me, I don't want to hear. You can't do that, okay? Because you got to realize that this is an adjustment for them as well. So you got to consider all these things, okay? And then the last thing is you got to have friend time. So you got to have some time to kind of hang out with your girls or hang out with your guys and just kind of chill, let your hair down a little bit, talk about your new adjustments, you know, talk about some of the things that you've had to do to adjust to this new lifestyle. And, you know, just get some buddy time in there, you know, whether it's girls, get some girl time, guys, get some buddy time. You have to have that, all right? And so you got to consider those things, all right? And so in Joshua 1:8, you know, says that we must consider reading the word of God, okay? Because it said to study, you know, the word of God and meditate on it day and night, so that, you know, when we have to be careful to obey what's in the word, so that everything that we do, we can be prosperous and successful, okay? And so I'm just trying to give you some tips on what you can do to consider, some things for you to consider as you're making these adjustments into your life. And now listen, we all know that there are things that come that throws us into adjustments, and we have no idea how to do this, okay? Sometimes that happens in life. Things happen, emergencies come in our life, and it just throws us into having to make adjustments, and we're not sure how to do that. You have to consider that too, okay? So you take some time to just process and absorb the fact that now you're into this opportunity to make an adjustment that you're not sure of how to do. That's okay. It's okay to be in that space right there. Some of you may not like the adjustment you're having to make. Some of you are embracing the adjustment that you have to make, but you're still kind of in that awkward place of not knowing what to do. It's okay. It's okay. Breathe. It's okay. All right? Because God knows, and He knew that this was coming before you knew it was coming. All right? So my thing is, just consider these things so that you can make it a little bit easier on yourself as you prepare. All right? So you got to talk to your spouse. You got to have that conversation of what it is that's going to happen, the things that you need to do to adjust, okay? Because it's gotta be talked about, because you have to be on the same page in order for you to be successful and to be prosperous, okay? So you gotta talk. Then you gotta pray, because you gotta pray together, okay? So you praying, he's praying, but y'all praying together, it's gonna be like explosive, okay? Because God is like, okay, here's my daughter and here's my son, and they coming together and they're praying to me, asking me for direction. He's going to give you direction. He's going to show you what you need to do. All right. He's going to show you how to make life a little bit easier for you, at least a little bit calmer, because He gives us peace in the middle even of storms. Right. So you want to make sure that we can gain that peace and that calm in the middle of everything that we have to do and trying to figure out how to adjust. And beloved, don't forget about your timing. Okay, you got to have God time. You have to have time with God so that you can just filter out. He can filter out all those things that you need to filter out. All right, you got to have spouse time, because you need that intimacy with your spouse. You need that time to connect. You need that time with just them to let them know that even though you've made this adjustment, that they are still first in your life. Outside of God, that they are still first in your life. You have to do that. All right. And then third, you have to have family time. You got to love on them babies. You got to give them some ice cream. You got to talk to them. You got to love on them. Find out how they doing in school. Make sure that they are adjusting in school just as well as you are adjusting to what you're doing. Okay. Kids process differently than we do. And so we got to make sure that they're okay. All right. And then you got to have alone time. So you got to make sure you have some time to wind down, let your hair down, get you some bubble bath, whatever it is you got to do to get your time, get your alone time in. Okay. Then you got to have friend time. So you got to connect with some friends every now and then. You may, once or twice a month, you get with your friends. Girl, let me tell you about this new job I got. Let me tell you what I just did. I just went back to school. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. But this is what I had to do. I had to adjust with my family, You get to just kind of share your thoughts and your feelings, okay? So I hope that that's helped you today. I hope there's something that I said that will help you today in making your adjustments, because we all have to make them. Life goes on and life moves quickly, but we have to figure out sometimes, what does that look like and what does it mean? And so whatever it is that you're facing today and you have to make adjustments, I just pray, beloved, that first of all, that you consider your spouse. Second of all, that you pray about it and ask God to give you direction and show you and your husband what to do, and talk to them babies, okay? Talk to them babies and let them know what's about to happen, because they need to know. Don't keep them in the dark. Don't think, well, they just kids and they don't need to know. No, they need to know mommy lost her job, or they need to know, okay, I'm getting ready to find a job. Okay, they need to know, okay, I'm going back to school. Daddy's sick. He's not feeling well. Whatever it is, you need to tell them, okay, in your own way, what's going on. Okay, so you know how your kids are. You know what they can handle. Talk to them, all right, and let them know so they can adjust as well. All right, and then you got to have your God time and prepare yourself. Prepare your meals. Prepare your schedule. Prepare your timing. You can do this. You can do this, okay? So I just wanted to encourage you today. Hopefully I said something that encouraged you. And I would like for you to share something that you've had to do to adjust to some of the things that you have been facing in your life, okay? So give us some comments below as to some of the things that you've done. I've given you 3 things to consider, but what kind of things have you had to do to make adjustments in your life? All right, and share with somebody else. They might need to hear what you have to say, okay? So thank you so much for joining me. God bless you, bless you. This is Essentials for a Successful Marriage, and I am your host. That's me, J.Bethea. So glad that you're able to be here with me. God bless you. You have a wonderful day, and until next time, bye-bye.